When Arc 3.0 was teased, if you were anything like me, you were probably very excited to see how they would elevate our favorite hunter subclass. I think a lot of people were disappointed by the final product, but I'm here to tell you that it is better than ever. Let's get into it. Let's start with the elephant in the room, Blink. With the introduction of Arc 3.0, Arcstriders gained access to the Blink movement ability, previously exclusive to Voidwalker Warlocks. But that's not all. Along with Arc 3.0, Bungie announced that they would be buffing Blink for the 3.0 release. This buff was minor, but in my opinion has made Blink the best movement ability in the game. Blink allows us to be the first to a lane previously dominated by Icarus Warlocks or Titan Skaters. We can set up our positioning much quicker now, which will allow us to have better map control and to pressure our opponents easier. Blink also allows us to cross contested lanes without risk of being sniped or team shot. See, the way Blink works is quite odd, but when you're in your Blink animation, you can actually cross a lane without ever exposing your hitbox to be damaged. Lastly, Blink allows for some great juking potential and allows you to leverage your movement against unsuspecting opponents. Blink is very slept on and is, in my opinion, the best reason to use Arcstrider in the current sandbox. Let's move on to the melee. Now here's where your personal preference can dictate how you wish to play. For me, I choose Disorienting Blow. This melee ability allows you to get out of some sticky situations should you get caught off guard or have to clutch 1v3 in trials. Combined with Lethal Current, you can catch someone by surprise and blind them for an easy follow-up melee or weapon kill. Becoming Amplified is nice, but it's not the focus of why I choose to use this ability. Combination Blow is also strong due to its health regen after a kill and ability to refund your dodge, and has a shorter cooldown. Honestly, it's personal preference on which you prefer to use, so dealer's choice. Now on to grenades. Most of the Arc grenades received some sort of nerf with Arc 3.0, and this would be where I feel the subclass lost most of its strength in the rework. That is until you realize that you can now jolt targets with your grenades, and this leads to multi-kills or map control for you and your teammates. Let me explain. Before Arc 3.0, our Arc Bolt grenades did 106 damage, and that was it. Arc Bolt was great at cleaning up kills, and when 2 or more people were tossing them together, it would straight up kill people. However, now Arc Bolts do 87 damage, and this is significantly less than before, but it's still enough to secure cleanup kills around the cover, and more importantly, we can now jolt our opponents. Now we can use Arc Bolt as both a cleanup tool and an opener for an engagement. If you have 3 opponents clumped together teaming a lane, you can slide in, throw an Arc Bolt, and blink out. Now the enemy team is jolted and they have a difficult choice to make. Do we stay and continue to lane knowing incoming damage will be shared amongst us due to chaining? Or do we concede this lane and reposition? Both options are good for us, as either way we can capitalize on their choice. This is why I choose to use Arc Bolts in the Jolt fragment. Now on to the nitty gritty, our aspects and fragments. For me, I choose Lethal Current and Tempest Strike. Now before I dive into my choices, I feel I have to explain why I didn't choose Flow State. Flow State is strong when it's going, but becoming Amplified is a double-edged sword on top of being hard to proc in 3v3 game types. How is being Amplified a detriment, you may ask? Well, it all comes down to 2 things: increased jump height and the glow. When you're Amplified, you have a much greater jump height and become more floaty, so to speak. This makes blinking in and out of cover in fights much harder and leaves you vulnerable longer. You also emit a blue glow when you're Amplified, and this lets your enemy know exactly when you're about to peek a lane due to the change in lighting as you approach. These make me want to be Amplified as little as possible and really makes me wish the Disorienting Blow didn't make you Amplified on hit. For these reasons, I'm choosing to avoid Flow State altogether. For our first choice, I'm going to be choosing Tempest Strike. Tempest Strike has changed a little since the rework, but the concept remains the same: Waveframe grenade launcher at home. Biggest change here, Tempest Strike jolts targets. Now this is a godsend and allows Tempest Strike to go right alongside your Arc Bolts as a way to open up an engagement and force people out of position. The hitbox is quite generous and makes cleaning up shotgun or sniper shots a breeze. By the way, I highly recommend sniping with this aspect, as you can slide a corner, hip fire a sniper shot, and clean up with a Tempest Strike quite consistently, and this has become one of my favorite ways to play. Who needs shotguns, am I right? Our next aspect is Lethal Current. This aspect is similar to how Top Tree Arcstrider behaved before the rework. You dodge, and then for a few seconds, you have increased melee range, and you create a damaging aftershock after a hit, regardless if you have a charged melee or not. Now this is exceptionally strong when combined with Gambler's Dodge, as you can chain melees on unsuspecting targets who will not expect you to lunge from that far away. The aftershock does splash damage as well, which also helps you clutch those 1v3 situations with a little more frequency. Now on to fragments. I'll make this part brief as I believe there are many ways to build this, so I'll just give a summary of what I use, but you are likely to see success with many of these options. The only mandatory fragment in my opinion is Spark of Shock. This will bring your overall discipline down by 10, but the benefits outweigh that by quite a bit. I'd rather my grenade be more lethal and effective than to have it 5 or 10 seconds faster off of cooldown. I also choose to use Spark of Recharge. While critically wounded, your melee and grenade energy regenerates more quickly. This is just like Bottom Tree Arcstrider used to be, and one of the main reasons people played the class in the first place. It's S tier, I strongly suggest using it. Last but not least is the Arc Staff Super. Since its rework, you now have all 3 trees of Arcstrider in one. You get an armored dodge, double strike after dodge, and the ability to block incoming shots and reflect them back. I'm about to let you in on a little secret that I rarely see in the Crucible, but may very well be the best exotic for Arcstrider in the game, and that's Raiju's Harness. And I know, it only works during your super, and that's fine, you just swap to it when you're getting close. This thing is so incredibly strong and will elevate Arcstaff to a point of near invincibility. With this exotic on, there are only a handful of things that can shut you down, and if uncontested, you'll last for 30 seconds of pure terror. You can beat nearly all other supers in the game, and if no one has a super to contest you, then you basically win the round. But there are things to watch out for, specifically suppressor grenades, a Titan's shield bash, a tether, a Shadebinder firing off a freeze rift, or a Winter's Wrath that knows to shoot next to you instead of at you. Otherwise, you can't be stopped. Combine all of these great abilities and you get a stunning neutral game kit alongside one of, if not the most lethal supers in the game. Arcstrider is better than you think, and it is better than ever. Thanks for watching, and feel free to come hang out over at my stream at twitch.tv/HavocPigeonTV. Sound off in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Toodaloo.